All right, thanks everybody for joining today. I'm Kevin Kozlowski, founder of Oval Brand Fire Products and the inventor of the Oval Fire Extinguisher. We're going to talk today about NFPA-101 Life Safety Code, ADA, and higher ed, and how we make compliance easy with our low-profile fire extinguishers. The presentation is going to largely focus on issues within NFPA-101 and ADA that relate specifically to fire extinguishers. So here's a nice image of our first three models that we're bringing to market right now. And as you can see, our fire extinguishers are not round. They're a low-profile shape, and that gives us our special qualities that allow us to do things that others can't. So we solve many problems related to fire extinguishers and NFPA 101 compliance. And it's not just the year 2012 edition. I mean, some states are still back on year 2000 or 2003 or 6. 2012 is relevant for a lot of audiences because if you're a university, let's say, that has a medical center or healthcare facilities attached or affiliated, as of mid-last year, all healthcare facilities, if you receive Medicare, Medicaid monies, have to comply with the 2012 edition of NFPA 101. So who's required to comply? And NFPA 101 covers 43 states. 43 states have adopted the 101 Life Safety Code as part of their standards and building codes. But for the states that don't use NFPA 101, you'll find that many counties or cities use it as well, even though their state doesn't require it. But 43 states have adopted it into their general code. So the main things that the Life Safety Code covers is means of egress and general life safety codes for egress requirements, quantities of people relative to different types of uses for facilities and square feet and things like that. It's a pretty wide encompassing code that then references other standards as well to get into more of the granular details. So again, I mentioned Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS. And what they've recently required again is that for healthcare facilities, if they receive federal funds, they have to comply with the 2012 edition of the code. So for fire extinguishers, what's relevant to higher ed? And within 101, there's not a large variety of details. It's largely issues related to egress pathways, clutter, and minimum dimensions, but it also reiterates the requirement to comply with the NFPA 10 standard for portable fire extinguishers. Many of us are fully aware of NFPA 10 or have heard it before, and the big things within NFPA 10 that you're going to find are relevant to a higher ed facility is the layout pattern, minimum quantities required based on your square feet and type of extinguishers, and also which types of extinguishers you should be using in certain areas. You'll find that maybe in your science labs you're using not just ABC extinguishers, but you may be using clean agents and things like that as well. And NFPA 10 is a great guide to help you select the proper extinguisher for the the duty hazard and the use of the space. So NFPA 101 provides a lot of content on minimum dimensions required for your egress pathways and your egress elements, such as your exits and doorways. Depending on the duty hazard and the classification of use of the space, there's different dimensional requirements. However, within NFPA 101, there is this section, it's 7.3.2. It makes a mention that for dimensions below 38 inches, that things should not be protruding into the means of egress more than 4.5 inches. So we just wanted to point that out, that's been in the Life Safety Code, I believe, since the 2000 or 2003 edition. But it relates back to fire extinguishers because as I'll show you in a minute, we're the only extinguishers that make it easy to comply with this requirement. We make compliance with NFPA 101 and ADA both easy. What you'll find in this photo, in this picture here, is actually a cabinet and a fire extinguisher which is compliant with both the NFPA 101 and the ADA guidelines. With Oval, this could have been a flush cabinet, fully recessed. So under NFPA 101, things that are below 38 inches shouldn't be protruding more than 4.5 inches. And when you add ADA requirements on top of that, things that if the bottom edge of any object is higher than 27 inches off the floor, the objects are not allowed to protrude more than 4 inches per the ADA. but it's also within the International Fire Code, the International Building Code, and the ANSI/ICC A117.1 accessibility standard. And that ANSI standard is in most everybody's local building codes. So again, if the bottom edge of any object is higher than 27 inches off the floor, it's not supposed to protrude more than 4 inches into the path of travel, the means of egress, whether it's on a wall, whether it's on a building column. They're not supposed to be sticking out more than 4 inches. So with Oval, we allow you to surface mount an extinguisher without it protruding more than 4 inches, because we're the only extinguishers that protrude less than 4 inches. This picture here, this diagram, shows that with a round 5-pound extinguisher or a round 10-pound extinguisher, you're not able to fit a fully recessed cabinet into a standard wall. And a standard wall is constructed with a 3 5/8 inch metal stud. So presently it's not possible with a round ordinary extinguisher. However, with Oval, we allow you to fit a fully recessed, fire-rated cabinet into a standard 3 5/8 stud wall. And that's what this graphic here indicates. So as you'll see, there's a 3 5/8 inch metal stud, 5/8 gypsum board, and a fully recessed cabinet. Only about 15% of your cabinets are fire-rated, and with a non-fire-rated cabinet, we can actually fit into a 2.5 inch stud cavity or 6 inch masonry. And on the next slide, we'll show you a nice picture of that as well. The nice thing with Oval is it's also easy to retrofit existing semi-recessed cabinets and surface-mounted cabinets. It's very easy to retrofit and push those cabinets now into the wall. And cabinets that are semi-recessed or surface-mounted, not only are many of them violating the ADA by sticking out too far, but they also receive a lot of damage from carts, luggage, and healthcare, gurneys, at hotels, your luggage carts, and colleges in the corridors, just people banging into stuff. And they get damaged and dented and require repairs, or they just look terrible over time. And we allow you to easily retrofit those as well. So this image here shows a 2.5 inch stud cavity with a non-fire rated cabinet. And the image with the masonry shows a fully recessed cabinet installed into 6 inch masonry. Both of these things were not possible before the low profile Oval extinguisher. Another thing we want to point out is that if you're building new construction and you're installing fully recessed cabinets with a round extinguisher, you have to go to 6 inch metal studs. You have to make the walls deeper. Or if you're in masonry, you have to go to 10 or 12 inch masonry. And by keeping the walls at their standard depth, we save a minimum of 3 square feet of space for every fire extinguisher. And to put that in perspective, if you're spending, higher ed, you could easily spend $175 to $200 a square foot building a new building. By saving that 3 square feet, it nets out all in that scenario, probably about $750 net on the amount of construction costs saved. So it's just something to think about too, that we make the use of the space much more efficient. So another problem we solved is that all ordinary round 5 and 10 pound fire extinguishers will protrude more than 4 inches when surface mounted. And here's a great example. This is in a retail store, and it's not only an ADA violation, but you can see there's a few dents in the floor where it's fallen off its hook too and damaged the floor. So they fall off their hooks a lot. So with Oval, we never protrude more than 4 inches when surface mounted, even on a round column measured at an angle. Now, we tried to solve a few other problems as well. When we invented the non-round pressure vessel and the Oval extinguisher, we asked ourselves, what else can we make better within the fire extinguisher industry? And we saw that fire extinguishers fall off their hooks a lot. And not only that, we learned that within retail, there's a lot of broken toes and injured feet. We thought we could do better. So our hook, you'll see our hook on the left and the whole assembly on the right. Our hook allows the extinguisher to move and swivel on its hook rather than falling off when bumped into. So for additional resources, we have all of our product information and files are hosted on our website and on vimobject.com. So on both locations you can find Revit files, SketchUp files, AutoCAD, our specifications, our submittal sheets, and we also have a 3-part specification available within ARCOM's product master spec and also within the general Archon Master Spec as well. And if you ever find yourself wanting to check or plan for the minimum proper quantity of fire extinguishers, we have a really nice calculator that you can use. It's an online calculator that's on our website. And all you do is you put in your square footage, the types of extinguishers by size and rating that you're going to use, and it will automatically calculate for you if you're meeting the minimum quantity. So you may find that if you're using 5-pound extinguishers now, that you may be short on fire extinguishers. We share this fact with retail especially, that in big box retail, if you're using a 5-pound extinguisher with the 75-foot layout rule, you'll very often find that you're about 30% short on the quantity of 5-pound extinguishers. However, if you use 10-pound extinguishers with the 75-foot rule, you're always good. We all know the 75-foot rule, but very few people do the math on the layout that's required for square footage per extinguisher based on its size. And because it gets missed a lot, there's a lot of deficiencies. But our online calculator can help you check to make sure you have enough in your facility. So we like to say we're not just a one-trick pony. We also have a great product coming to market within the next 12 months that's actually a fire sprinkler product. So here's a great picture of the problem. This is a checkout aisle at a major retail chain, and you'll see this brass valve sticking out into the checkout aisle. And if you're pushing the cart through, it may catch you right in the rib cage, or if you're a smaller stature, maybe it could catch you in the face. It's an ADA violation. Again, it violates the local accessibility standards, and even up above the border in Canada, there's the AODA. It's the ADA for Ontario, basically. Nobody makes a standpipe outlet valve that can easily comply with the protruding object guidelines of both the ADA and the Life Safety Code. So we're trying to bring to market a standpipe outlet valve that fully complies and sticks out less than 4 inches. This is called a 2.5-inch standpipe outlet valve, also referred to as a standpipe hose connection. You'll find them in a lot of your stairwells, in your high-rise and mid-rise buildings, and in larger facilities where you have large distances from doorways. So here's another photo of an example. This one's sticking forward over 14 inches into the path of egress, and this one was hit by a forklift. The handle's damaged. They commonly, especially in parking garages too, they get damaged as well. Sometimes cars even hit them in parking decks. So the solution is our standpipe outlet valve. We've designed it within the UL 668 guideline. Here's a sneak peek for everybody. And as you can see, it protrudes less than 4 inches. It's a little more elegant than the other ones, but this, once we get this on the market, it will be the only standpipe outlet valve that complies with the ADA and the NFPA-101 for the protruding object rules. And it's also very easy for the sprinkler fitters to install, whether new construction or retrofits. We want to touch on the fact that, we're made in the USA. Our content for our extinguishers is 85% domestic content, so we meet any Buy American provisions. We do all of our assembly here. We build our vessels here. The only components for our extinguishers that come from overseas are our powder and the rubber in our O-rings. Everything else is made here in the USA. So we're going to be at the NFPA Expo in Boston in a few weeks here. And then for anybody that's maybe affiliated with healthcare, we're going to be at the ASHE show in Indianapolis in August. And again, I'd like to thank everybody that joined us today and took time out of your schedule to learn more about Oval. All right, thanks everybody.